Hi, I'm Trista Engel, CEO of Paragon Legal, and welcome to GC Sidebar, a short and sharp conversation series with today's most forward-thinking general counsel. In just 4 questions, we cover the legal industry, leadership, careers, and a little fun. Today, I'm joined by Jasmine Singh, general counsel at Ironclad, a leading AI-powered digital contracting platform for legal teams. Jasmine began her legal career in big law as a litigator in San Francisco before moving in-house at 24 Hour Fitness, Pinterest, and Patreon. She stepped into her first general counsel role at Binti in 2022 and joined Ironclad as GC in 2024. Along the way, she has also found time to be a spin instructor and founder of the DINSERT movement, a decentralized philanthropy initiative supporting local nonprofits. Jasmine, I'm so excited to have you here. Thanks for joining.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm also really excited to be here.
Awesome. Let's dive in. What's the biggest challenge facing GCs and in-house legal teams today?
I think we are living in an incredibly unique moment. We are in the middle of a huge technological revolution with AI, and we're also at a really unique phase of life in terms of what's going on in the greater geopolitical, social, economics environment. Also, a very unique moment for the legal profession, right? So all of these things are happening at one time. And I think for GCs to navigate all of that at once is complicated because they translate in different ways across the business, whether it's with respect to how your team is using AI or governing the use of AI across the broader enterprise, how your company might be developing AI products and tools and what considerations are going into that. And also thinking a lot about how the implications of what's being done today, and how that might affect your employee base, and some of the considerations that you have to take into account as, a function of a business that's not just risk mitigation, but also value maximization.
Absolutely. And I can't help but think that you're even in a unique position in the sort of Venn diagram of AI and legal, given that your company provides AI and tech to legal teams.
Absolutely. I mean, we think and talk about this all the time. It's such a fun space to be in. And one of the things that I have been saying in the industry a lot that I'm super excited about is legal in general sits in this really fascinating space as being both the gatekeeper internally at their organizations for how to regulate AI. Them and security sort of sit hand in hand in deciding what AI comes into the org and how it's governed and how you engage in the contracts and the protections in place to make sure that people can actually leverage it. And we're super users of AI, right? In the legal and security world. There are not very many other teams that can say that they sit at that intersection. And I think it gives us a really unique vantage point.
It really does. And it gives you sort of a little bit of a leg up or a head start on legal teams adopting and encouraging the adoption and really leveraging AI. That's very cool. What's the most valuable lesson you've learned as a GC?
I think one of the most important lessons I've learned as a GC is, really understanding the objective you're being asked about or like what the goal is behind the work or the issue or the risk or the question. So one of the biggest lessons I've learned is one, you have to know what the company is trying to do so that you can pose potential alternatives, potentially see around corners. But you also have to stop and ask yourself questions about what am I trying to do? What is the best path for the company? I've learned over the years of being a GC that indexing and that orientation has really helped me maintain my own sense of self in the practice.
I love that. I love the way you talk about how it helps you keep your orientation, where you're keeping the perspective on what is the business challenge you're solving, and then you're kind of putting that together with your legal brain and what's right for different products or different parts of the company, but with that orientation toward a strong understanding of what's best for the business. What's one career moment that changed your trajectory?
I've been talking about this a lot more recently, and it is the time that I actually quit my job and became a spin instructor. And the reason I say that moment was so important for my career trajectory is because it's truly because before that moment, so I had been a litigator in mostly big law firms for almost 8 years. I had such a narrow focus on okay, you just make it to the next year, you do the work that you're given, you succeed, you get to the next firm, you get to the next rank in whatever your career is. But I never took a moment to stop and think about what I actually wanted to do or who I wanted to be. And so I quit my job and I decided to take a break. So what I did is I just started making lists of like, what do I love? And for me, I knew like health and wellness and fitness has always been a huge part of my life. And so I decided I was going to go get certified to become a spin instructor. And it was phenomenal for me. It was the most amazing job at that point I had ever had. And it really sent me this message of like, I have to be values aligned with whatever work I'm doing. So that was what caused me to know that I wanted to go in-house. And what I wanted to do was end up in a company where I felt like I was contributing to a greater mission. And because I was so passionate about health and wellness and fitness, it was kind of fitting that my first in-house job was actually at our Fitness.
That is fantastic and good for you. It really does take a lot of courage when you are in that sort of hard-charging, high-achieving mindset to break from the norm. And it can feel like you'll never be able to get on track. So I love hearing that you did it. You did what was right for you. You figured out where you wanted to be, and it didn't slow you down. It only accelerated. If you weren't an attorney, what would you be?
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a toss-up between a fitness instructor or, something in the dance world. And then other times I joke like, okay, maybe the more realistic one is I love doing stuff like this. So I was like, how would one become a talk show host or like a professional panelist of some kind or like a moderator or like a podcast host? I love talking and I love hearing people's stories and I love learning from people and creating space for other people to learn. So the more realistic alternative path for me is like something where I could do that.
And the bonus question, who is your favorite fictional lawyer?
So in Suits, I really love Jessica Pearson. Like, she was just a boss lady who was in charge. She was always 5 steps ahead of everybody. She was strong. She didn't take no from nobody. Like I really like her as a fictional lawyer. I thought she was awesome.
I love that. Totally agree. Well, that was really fun, Jasmine. Thank you so much for joining me and for sharing your journey and your stories.
Thanks so much for having me. This was really fun.
All right, that's a wrap on today's episode of GC Sidebar. Catch more great conversations on our website at paragonlegal.com. Thanks for tuning in.